All right, tell me if any of this shit makes sense.
States and indeed around the world. CNN's Brian Todd is joining us right now with a closer look at what you can do to protect yourself. Brian, health officials say this is likely to become a pandemic.
Right, Wolf. U.S. health officials saying we're not quite there yet, but it is likely this will turn into a pandemic. They stress that pandemic does not mean panic, but Americans are...
What? Yes, it does. It may not be the definition, but pandemic is basically panic. I mean, come on. It's got half the word in it.
Being told yet, but it is likely this will turn...
You just mentioned pandemic like 2 times and then said, but don't worry. And then you're going to tell a bunch of people, you're going to show us a bunch of stuff that's going to make people worry.
Into a pandemic. They stress that pandemic does not mean panic, but Americans are being told tonight of steps they need to take to fend off this virus. Tonight, top American health officials say they expect to see more cases of coronavirus in the U.S. They're not sure how much the virus may spread inside the U.S., but they say Americans' everyday lives could be impacted, and they need to prepare.
Don't panic. Now watch this video with people in a bunch of outfits covering every inch of their body.
Prepare for the worst.
Disruption to everyday life may be severe.
What exactly does that... could be...
Hey, seriously, don't panic. There's a pandemic, though.
Impacted, and they need to prepare for the worst.
Disruption to everyday life may be severe.
What exactly does that mean?
That may include canceling mass gatherings, sporting events, having people work from home as much as possible.
And experts say possible school closures. But they stress that all may occur only in certain areas where there could be some community spreading of the virus, not all across the country. So what can the average American do to prepare or to fend off coronavirus? Experts say there are some very simple but important steps.
Those include items like washing your hands for 20 seconds. Most people do it less than 5 to 10, including not touching your face.
Meekins. He's got the double E 33.
Not touching your eyes if you haven't.
Yeah. Who cares?
They don't always work perfectly.
That could actually sometimes be more harmful to you than not wearing a mask, because if it's not fitted right, you're going to fumble with it. You're going to be touching your face, which is the number one way you're going to get disease, is unclean hands touching your face.
Most people who get it will survive. As far as things we enjoy and do every day, like going to restaurants.
People should continue to go out to eat. I'm continuing to eat out, and I'm not worried. And my job in the government was to be worried about the worst possible things that could happen.
What about everyday travel for Americans on subways and buses? Medical and preparedness experts say we should not refrain from taking trains and buses to work. Just maybe try to put a few more inches of space between you and those close to you if you can. Same for air travel, they say. Don't stop traveling or change your plans unless there's a significant spread.
This is nonsense.
Travel to that place. Wolf?
We're all learning a lot.
Listen to this guy.
Will recover, but the others are in great shape. But think of that, 25,000 to 69,000. Over the last 10 years, we've lost 360,000. These are people that have died from the flu, from what we call the flu. Hey, did you get your flu shot?
360, 3666.
And
Did you get your flu
these
shot?
are people that have died from the flu, from what we call the flu. Hey, did you get your flu shot? And that's something. Now, what we've done is we've stopped non-U.S. citizens from coming into America from China. That was done very early on. We're screening people, and we have been at a very high level, screening people coming into the country from infected areas. We have in quarantine those infected and those at risk. We have a lot of great quarantine facilities. We're rapidly developing a vaccine, and they can speak to you. The professionals can speak to you about that.
We can? We can speak to the professionals about the vaccine?
We're rapidly developing a vaccine, and they can speak to you. The professionals can speak to you about that. The vaccine is coming along well, and then speak.
It's wonderful. We have the best vaccines in the world.
To the doctors, we think this is something that we can develop fairly rapidly, a vaccine for the future. And
cool. You're developing a vaccine for the future. Okay, cool. I'll be sure to not get that.
Doctors, we think this is something that we can develop fairly rapidly, a vaccine for the future, and coordinate with the support of our partners. We have great relationships with all of the countries that we're talking about. Some it's a fairly large number of countries. Some it's one person, and many countries have no problem whatsoever.
Man, these are weird times.